Hey YouTube, this is Steven with Team Skull Energy, coming at you with a very important update. Konami yesterday has declared the end of priority, and there was much rejoicing. So, what does this mean? Essentially, under the old game state, it was if you normal summoned or special summoned a monster, then during its own summoning window, if it had a spell speed 1 ability that you could activate it. Well, under this new rule, you have all of this. Yeah. It looks big and complicated. In addition, Konami also introduced some new terminology, two of which is called fast effects and open game state. So, what does all this mean? Well, this video is going to try to tell it all to you as quickly as possible without missing any of the details. So first things first, what is a fast effect? Essentially, a fast effect is everything in Yu-Gi-Oh! That is spell speed 2 or higher. So quick play spell cards, traps, even counter traps, or monster effects that can be activated during your opponent's turn are all spell speed 2 or higher. Open game state, that simply means that nothing is going on and the turn player can do something again. So with that in mind, let's look at this chart. Let's start up here first. The game state is open. The turn player may perform any appropriate action. Alright, so what does that mean again? It means that either the turn player can do something that would normally start a chain, like normal summoning, setting, special summoning that does not start a chain, and by that they mean inherent special summoning or natural special summoning, like Lava Golem to your opponent's side of the field, Dark Arm Dragon, Judgment Dragon, anything like that. Setting a card, declaring an attack, changing a battle position, all those things do not start a chain. Or the turn player can activate a card that does start a chain. Spells, traps, effects of monsters, all those things are anything that's spell speed 1 or higher starts the chain. Or the turn player passes the phase. Well, this is the column that we really care about, because this is what's really changed. So we're just going to go over this. Essentially, let's say you special summon a Dark Arm Dragon. Well, what does this mean? Well, first of all, does this activate a trigger effect? Essentially, that means if there's something on the field that triggers when a monster is summoned, or does the monster itself have a trigger effect, such as Elemental Hero Stratos or Black Rose Dragon, those things still go off first. Dark Arm Dragon doesn't, so nothing happens. So we go on to B. Turn player can activate a fast effect. Okay, so now you, the turn player, get to play a fast effect. However, you cannot use Dark Arm Dragon's effect. In the old rules you could, because it was the monster itself, its own effect, during its own summoning window. In this case, since Dark Arm Dragon's effect is only spell speed 1, you do not get to use its ability. So, no effect, probably won't activate anything at this point, really no reason to. And then C, your opponent can activate a fast effect. Okay, so now your opponent can activate cards like Bottomless Trap Hole, Torrential Tribute. They can play Effect Veiler from their hand. And they get to do all this before you can use the monster's effect, which does change the game a lot for a lot of big cards. Take, for example, another card, Judgment Dragon. Before, you could summon the Judgment Dragon using its own effect, which does not start a chain, nothing triggers, and then you get to activate Judgment Dragon's effect, paying 1,000 life points, blow up the field except for itself, and there's not much your opponent can do about it. Well, with this, since Judgment Dragon's effect is not a fast effect, your opponent gets to respond with something like Bottomless Trap Hole. So the Judgment Dragon would be destroyed or removed from the game, and you would never get an opportunity to blow up the field. So cards like that go from amazingly broken into being so-so. Essentially what this is all saying right here is that it's just trying to explain to you that if an effect if an effect does trigger, like Stratos, then you go into this chain rule here. So when that resolves, you can go back to this part right here. Is there another trigger effect that activates? Most likely not. Now you get to play something first. That's a fast effect. If you do, go to the chain rules, and then you go back up here, go through it all again, until finally everything is said and done, and then we get to go back to an open game state. So overall, what does this mean? Well, this is actually really nice that Konami finally did this. It means that now the TCG Yu-Gi-Oh! Is playing by the same game mechanics as the OCG Yu-Gi-Oh! Also, it does add a lot of consistency to the rest of the game mechanics and the rules, because under the old ways, the monster effects like Dark Arm Dragon that can activate during its own summoning window really didn't make a whole lot of sense, because that monster's summoning window is the only time when spell speed 1 effects can activate. In all other windows of the entire game, spell speed 1 effects cannot be activated. So now with this rule finally in place, that's true across the entire board. You'll never ever be able to activate spell speed 1 effects on your own during any windows of any kind. They'd have to be triggered. Something else I wanted to point out in this video is that Konami released a article trying to explain a little bit more about this. They basically just give a link to what I showed you before with fast effect timings. They are also going to reintroduce card frequently asked question page. In this case, they started off with Rivalry of Warlords and GOZEN match to finally explain that. For those of us who remember the Upper Deck Entertainment days, the frequently asked question page was extremely helpful, and I'm glad to see that they're finally going to bring that back. But what they're going to do, though, is they're going to make it much more precise. Upper Deck did it frequently asked questions for all cards. TCG Konami is going to do it for specific cards that give a lot of problems for duelists, such as Skill Drain, Royal Oppression, Rivalry of Warlords, GOZEN match. I would expect them to do things like Light and Darkness Dragon or Future Fusion. If you've noticed from my other videos, Future Fusion seems to give a lot of problems with people. And essentially in this article, they also talk about the 4 pillars of change in order to fix Yu-Gi-Oh! First pillar being the problem-solving card text. They've already did it. Pillar 2 is create series of in-depth guides about the rules, mechanics, and overall game engine. That'd be nice. Pillar 3 is bringing back frequently asked question page, which I've already talked about. And the pillar 4 is that they want to revise the rule book to explain things in more detailed. Again, they can never seem to get the rule book right. I don't think they ever could, because the game is so complex. I don't think you can put it into a small rule book like they are hoping to do. But more power to them. Good luck. That's pretty much it. I'll include the links at the bottom of this video. And good luck, everyone, and have fun dueling.